Now, no rain coming out of those clouds. We don't expect any rain to come out today at all. We will see partly sunny skies for today. Temperatures in the 50s starting off this morning. Couple 40s up here to the far north, right at 40 degrees in Blairsville. 46 right now in Dalton at the current tower. Going to give it a 10 out of a possible 11 today on the wazometer. They're high, thin clouds, so we'll see the sun poking right on through. And temperatures will be on the comfortable side. Very pleasant, at least for the afternoon. Again, once I said, no rain coming out of the clouds at all. We will see an increased chance once we get through the weekend and into next week. So we'll be watching for that little northeast flow setting up right now. All right, taking a look at Ada, which is now down to a tropical depression. It is forecast to become a tropical storm later today as it moves back over the North Caribbean Sea. We'll head up toward Cuba and then eventually over towards South Florida, where it will move toward the Gulf, and then it's forecasted just to meander around a little bit right along the west coast of Florida there. Eventually could pull some moisture up our way as well, but that won't be until later next week. That's how slow this thing will be. So we'll be talking about that the next couple of days here. Our forecast track model shows again some clouds moving through. We'll call it partly sunny skies for today. A few more clouds as we head into Saturday. A mix of sunny clouds, we'll call it on Saturday, but notice the rain stays a little bit further down to the south of us. Sunday, mostly cloudy skies. Again, no rain. Low chance for rain starting on Monday. We'll give it a 10% chance, and then a 30% chance on Tuesday, and that chance goes up as we head toward the middle of next week. We're back right after this.
All right, one election in Kentucky has gone to the dogs, literally. That's Wilbur, a 6-month-old French bulldog. He was elected as mayor of Rabbit Hash, Kentucky. Now, Wilbur isn't the first four-legged mayor this town has seen either. It's actually part of a fundraiser for the town's historical society. For every vote $1 is donated. Wilbur garnered 13,000 votes. His owner says he's loving the attention, and when it comes to his new job and feedback from his community, he is all ears.
Clearly.
Yeah, literally.
All right, thanks a lot, folks. Don't forget, we got breaking news as far as the election goes. We'll have it for you on the Morning Rush after the break.
narrowing the margin. All eyes on a few undecided states, including Georgia. But could the razor-thin difference force a recount in the race for president? Joe Biden inching closer to victory, urging faith in the counting process.
I ask everyone to stay calm, all the people to stay calm. The process is working. The count is being completed.
President Trump claiming election fraud.
If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us.
And breaking news just in, former Vice President Joe Biden taking the lead in Georgia, up 917 votes over President Trump. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sheba Russell.
And I'm Francesca Amaker. The numbers have just come in as the poll workers have been working around the clock.
Let's take a closer look at those numbers here, which just changed 45 minutes ago. Biden pulling ahead. You see the numbers there, 49.39%. Donald Trump, 49.37%. Again, Biden leaving by 917 votes. This latest vote count coming out of Clayton County.
And there is still so much information to dig through, but our crew is here to help you break it all down. We have team coverage across the metro area as votes still are being processed, including right here in Clayton County. That's where we find Mara Sirianni with the latest on the count right there.
No. Oh. Hey guys, so we are here outside of the Clayton County Emergency Management Center. Sorry about that, I didn't realize we were coming out to us, but I want to actually head inside here. It's very tight in there, and they are actually counting votes still at this time. As we mentioned, Clayton County really became the center of attention late last night into the early morning hours. You guys said it, Biden has taken the lead in Georgia for the first time. He is ahead of Trump by 917 votes after more results were reported here in Clayton County. Now you can see again, they're still actively counting here at this time as some others decided to rest for the night. Now, Clayton County is a Democratic stronghold. Biden has been getting about 84% of the vote here. And what they're doing is they're releasing updates, several hundred ballots at a time. And again, based on these Clayton County votes, Biden has taken the lead. So right now, I want to leave you with a live look of the ongoing vote count here. They could be wrapping up in Clayton County.
When do you think the 3,500 get done?
Well, we're going to stay here until every single absentee ballot is counted.
Oh, you're going to work straight through?
We're going to continue to move forward.
And what do you think? Does that take it in the overnight hours now? Do you think late in the morning? You think afternoon?
I anticipate early morning.
And it is the early morning hours right now, so they're going nonstop. They've gone nonstop overnight. Those guys in there are tired, but they want to get these numbers in. And so that, again, is the very latest from here in Clayton County, where that count continues.
Tabulating the vote, Clayton County, as far as we know right now, the only county working through the night here. Christy Diaz joining us from the big board right now, watching those overnight numbers roll in, and she has a closer look at the votes in Clayton County, which is a Democratic stronghold, right, Christy?
Yeah, Clayton County, we knew that going into this. In fact, it is the most Democratic county in the state besides DeKalb County. So their margins are about the same, but those workers, they're working through the night because they know all eyes are on Clayton County. So let's take a look here. Clayton County, we can see that margin is really far apart. There was no way Trump was going to win Clayton County, and we knew that. But because all of the votes that are being counted overnight into the early morning hours here in Clayton, look at what it did to the rest of the state. For the first time since 1992, Georgia is now blue, at least for this moment. These percentages, it looks like they're equal. There are fractions of a percentage point between the two. And Joe Biden, since about 4:16 this morning, is ahead by about 917 votes. Their last vote dump from Clayton County was about 45 minutes ago, and I've been watching it and refreshing religiously to see when their next update will be. So this is incredible. Biden now on top, leading in Georgia. Here is a great visual representation of that gap, which has narrowed This starts at about noon on Wednesday. President Trump was leading by about 100,000 votes. And look at these two lines, red being Trump, blue being Biden. Look how it has narrowed since Wednesday, all the way to the very end over here. And at 4:16 this morning, you can just see that edge where the blue line goes on top. Now, of course, this is just for this moment. There are more votes to count. Clayton County still counting votes as of this moment. Other counties are still counting votes once the sun rises. So I'll keep monitoring this throughout the morning. We may have more updates. Sheba.
Christy, any idea how many votes are left to count statewide? I know it was about 14,097 at 11 p.m. last night.
That's the best update we have right now, but that update was last given at about 10:30 last night, so you know it's different, especially since Clayton County has been counting throughout the night. And last check around 2:30 this morning, the Clayton County Elections Director said they had about 3,500 left to go. That is now lower, so at my estimate, maybe about 45 minutes ago, I thought they had at least, 2,000 more to go, but someone inside the facility that I've been monitoring says they're getting pretty close to the end. Statewide, still, we don't have a great update.
All right, Christy Diaz, thank you. Francesca, over to you.
Let's head to Fulton County now, where Jerry Carnes is live at the elections warehouse, where poll workers will begin counting provisional ballots today.
That's exactly right. The bulk of the work for Fulton County election officials is behind them. They spent more than 2 days meticulously counting the 145,000 absentee ballots that arrived here. Now they will gather later today to begin the final count, and that will involve about 3,600 provisional ballots. There were times on Election Day on Tuesday when machines might have been down at a polling place, or perhaps someone showed up at the wrong polling place, and that is when voters were given the option of casting a written provisional ballot. So those have to be counted, and that will begin today. In addition to those, election officials are waiting for overseas military absentee ballots, and they can arrive anytime before 5 o'clock today. Election officials here in Fulton County and throughout the state have no idea, no way of knowing how many of those they may receive.
And I could not be more pleased with the results that we have here today. Nor, though, could I have ever imagined that Fulton County, Georgia, would mean at this point in time, at this moment in history, what it appears to be with respect to the outcome of the 2020 presidential election.
That was Fulton County Commission Chairman Rob Pitts, who ironically himself had to cast a provisional ballot. 3,600 of those will be counted here today in Fulton County. They could be vital in the election outcome here in Georgia.
All right, Jerry, from Fulton County to Gwinnett County right now. Liza Lucas continuing our team coverage from outside the Board of Election headquarters in Lawrenceville, where the process to finalize ballots is finally done. But Liza, I understand you have some new developments there as well.
That's right. We've been talking about the review of thousands of ballots that have absentee ballots that have been in limbo since Tuesday. Well, we were told overnight that the review of those ballots is now complete. And this is significant because it was expected to take 3 days. The work instead completed overnight. And now they expect to begin counting this morning. Now, teams had to go through 3,200 batches of ballots affected by a software error, and we still don't know the exact number of ballots impacted, but officials say tabulation can officially begin this morning. Counting also set to happen today for the remaining 4,400 absentee by mail ballots received on Election Day, plus the more than 400 ballots from an Election Day data card that had to be rescanned. So once counting is complete, again, that process set to start here at headquarters this morning. Once counting is complete, we're told that the results from these 3 groups of votes will be made public. So we're going to be watching for those numbers here at Gwinnett County, and we understand that they still have provisional ballots to go through, about 1,000 of those at last count. But a significant update this morning here in Lawrenceville.
All right, trying to crunch all those numbers in my head here, Liza. Thank you so much. There is a strong likelihood that Georgia could head to a recount no matter which candidate wins the presidential race in the state.
Recounts are strictly controlled by state law, and the presidential race seems to fall within the legal guidelines. Now, Joe Ripley is live in Clayton County right now this morning with more on how the process works.
So in Georgia, a recount happens if a race between a statewide race and the top 2 contenders fall between 0.5%. Half a percentage point is all it takes to trigger a recount in Georgia. With President Trump and Vice President Biden neck and neck right now, in all likelihood, that is where we are headed, a recount, I should say. But all recounts are not created equal. They are strictly controlled by state law. As you mentioned, a campaign usually requests the recount within 2 days of that vote being certified, and that could come sometime next week at the earliest. With the vote so close here in Georgia, the voting system implementation manager says he does believe the counting is happening fairly.
I think if anyone's going to try to rig a system, they might have seen something a little bit less close than this. That's one. Two, we have in this process 159 dedicated elections directors and their staff who are working to get this right. They're working diligently every single day. We have.
For some more context on this, to see when recounts actually change the outcome of elections, you can head on over to 11alive.com.
Joe, thank you. And we'll keep track of the latest results as the votes come in. If you want them sent straight to your phone, text the word result to the number on your screen. You can also download the 11 Alive News app to get an alert as soon as the race is called in Georgia. A quick update for you here. We just learned that Clayton County is now done counting all of their votes. All right, let's send you on over to Chesley to get a check on your weather.
All right, thanks a lot, Sheba. A couple clouds overhead right now, but they're thin clouds. We can see the moonlight shining through those clouds, which means we'll get some sunshine in here. We'll call it partly sunny skies for much of the day. Notice no rain coming out of those clouds at all, and we don't anticipate any rain today at all. Temperatures in the 50s starting off this morning, so it's pleasantly mild starting off this morning, except for up here to the far north, Blairsville at 40, so that's cool. 46 degrees in Dalton, 48 right now over toward Rome. We'll heat it up this afternoon, 69 degrees by noon, on our way to 72 for an afternoon high temperature today. Those northeast winds about 10 miles per hour, breezes gusts getting a little higher than that at times, but it will be a pleasant afternoon for you. Enjoy. Crash Clark, over to you.
All right, my friend, we're following some police activity and quite a response here downtown, just off of Trinity Avenue and Forsyth Street. As you can see, they've got the yellow tape out. They are doing some sort of an investigation out here. That entire stretch of road completely shut down. Trinity Avenue right there near Forsyth Street. Obviously, a lot of response out here, a lot of blue lights. So what they're telling us is just to avoid the area for now while they continue that on Forsyth at Trinity. Still got some GDOT work down south. This one was out here yesterday, 75 south, right past Highway 138, taking up a right lane. Not a huge delay, but just FYI. Sheba?
5:12 right now on a Friday morning. Ahead here on Morning Rush, the Trump campaign's lawsuit over voter fraud in Georgia thrown out. We'll have the very latest on the judge's decision.
And Donald Trump Jr. holds a rally in Atlanta. His message to voters as his father's lead shrinks in Georgia.
5:15 right now. Back to our breaking news. Joe Biden taking the lead here in Georgia by 917 votes. Taking the lead over President Trump in the race for president. You can see the numbers here. Joe Biden with 49.39% of the vote. Donald Trump with 49.37%. This latest vote dump coming out of Clayton County, where workers have been spending the overnight tabulating those votes. And Christy Diaz, joining us from the big board right now, has been closely watching those overnight numbers roll in. Christy Diaz, the vote counting is officially over in Clayton County?
We just got word from our reporter inside. The vote count is officially over. They are done for the early morning and overnight hours. And just moments ago, we got an update on those numbers as about 240 more votes just dropped. So now that lead that Biden had, it's grown. So let's take a look here at Clayton County. Biden obviously still ahead in that county, but here are the numbers. By the way, also, if you want moment-by-moment updates, the best way to get that is follow my Twitter feed. I am updating and live tweeting as these numbers come in. So about 2 minutes ago, we got another update on those numbers. Another 240 votes just dropped. That puts Biden ahead by 1,096 votes. So that is now his lead here in Georgia. It's incredible. Now that we know that Clayton County has officially stopped counting, we expect some of those numbers will be updated again, and I will keep following those numbers as they roll through. They've been updating in about 300 votes at a time, and the updates have been coming sporadically about every hour or so. So I'll keep refreshing until we get the final numbers. Sheba.
Well, the clouds are already starting to move into our forecast area. We're going to have them around for the weekend as well. But will any rain accompany those clouds? We'll let you know. Your weekend outlook is coming up. Welcome back to the show. Current time is 5:19. So glad you're waking up with us this morning. We're looking at a few clouds overhead right now, just a few, and they're thin. You can see the moonlight through some of those clouds. And so that means we'll get plenty of sunshine in for today as well. Partly sunny skies is what we'll call it. Here's your 4 essential times of the day, starting off this morning with temperatures in the 50s instead of those 30s and 40s that we had through the week. 69 degrees by noon. We'll hit 72 degrees for an afternoon high again under partly sunny skies. Partly cloudy skies tonight. We'll drop down to 65 degrees by 7 o'clock. You got those clouds over us here. Got some low-level moisture feeding in from that northeasterly flow that we have coming toward us. So the clouds will increase over the next couple of days, but we're not looking for any rain to come out of those clouds at all. In fact, we're going to remain dry here really for the weekend. It won't be until next week that we'll see our chance of rain really start to go up a little bit. What could play a role in that is tropical depression. Right now, tropical depression Ada, with winds up to 35 miles per hour. It is moving to the north at about 8 miles per hour. Now, here's how this thing is going to play out. Now, it's a tropical depression right now, but it is moving back over the North Caribbean. So as it does, it is forecast to become a tropical storm once again and head toward Cuba. That's Cuba right there. We'll move over Cuba as we head into Sunday, that time frame, and then begin to bend back towards South Florida and then up along the west coast of Florida, where it just kind of meanders there for a couple of days. So even if this begins to move toward us, not looking likely until we get to not this weekend, but the following weekend, if this particular model holds up. The models are disagreeing on the exact timing and where the storm will be, so we'll have to follow it over the next couple of days. Just wanted to give you one scenario of what's going to be happening with Tropical Storm Ada headed toward the United States. Here's our forecast track model. You can follow along with the time right there at the top of the screen. Leave it nice and wide, as you can see, where we have some clouds here and there. Partly sunny skies, again, what we'll call it for this afternoon. A few more clouds will move into the forecast area for tomorrow. So Saturday, a mix of sun and clouds, but notice we remain dry. Most of your wet weather stays down into the central and southern portions of the state. More clouds move in for Sunday. We'll wind up mostly cloudy skies, but it remains dry for us on Sunday. It won't be until Tuesday of next week. We'll get a 30% chance for the rain, 50% chance by next Wednesday. Time now for your Weather Wow moment. This one coming to us from our good friend Scott Anna. He's capturing the leaves up there in Union County, Georgia, right by a lake, looks like. Very nice picture. Man, he always captures the great pictures. Love to see your Weather Wow moments as well, just like Scott. You can send them to us on our 11 Live Storm Tracker Facebook group. Great way to interact with our meteorologists and get your photos and videos shown right here on TV. Crash Clark,
I sent one in yesterday. Hopefully we'll catch it next week. We'll see what it is. All right, folks, we're going to continue to follow this breaking news here downtown Forsyth and Trinity. We are hearing reports of a shooting, and obviously police have a huge response out here shutting down Trinity and Forsyth while they continue their investigation. You can actually see that yellow tape up there, but just avoid that area as they could be out there for quite a while. All right, these guys were out here yesterday. A little bit of GDOT work, 75 southbound past Highway 138. Right lane block, not the end of the world. You don't need to jump away for an alternate. Just stay left. And remember, watch your speed in all those GDOT work zones. Big three from the northern burbs in pretty darn good shape as we start out your Friday ride. We'll be right back.
If you're just joining us, we have some breaking news right now in the race for president right here in Georgia. Joe Biden pulling ahead of Donald Trump right around 4:15 a.m. So just about an hour ago, we learned of these new numbers. The latest vote count now is that Biden is up 1,096 votes. It is a tight race. This latest vote count, this latest vote dump coming out of Clayton County, a Democratic stronghold. They just wrapped up their vote counting in that county.
The Trump campaign held a news conference in Atlanta last night. Congressman Doug Collins joined Donald Trump Jr. with a crowd of the president's supporters. Trump Jr. repeated some of his father's claims about the results, but did not provide evidence to back his statements up.
When I hear there's a deadline and then magically boxes appear later, we know that's against the law, but you get in front of a Democrat judge in a Democrat city with Democrat control, and it's okay. Then, before you can contest it, they throw those ballots in one big box. Now you can't tell which one is accurate and which isn't. I think the Democrats are used to this from a Republican Party that hasn't had a backbone.
Now, Donald Trump Jr.'s message coming hours after the Trump campaign lost its legal battle here in Georgia. A judge in Savannah has dismissed the campaign's lawsuit, alleging that late mail-in ballots were being counted in Chatham County. Now, the lawsuit accused a poll worker of throwing 53 late absentee ballots into a pile of eligible ballots to be counted, but county officials testified every ballot was properly documented and logged. The judge did not say why he decided to dismiss the lawsuit today. The Trump campaign also lost its legal battle in Michigan after a judge there rejected an effort to stop the count.
5:27 right now. If there's one thing we learned in this election, it's that every vote matters. Up next, we'll show you the steps to make sure your vote counts before today's Cure Your Ballot deadline. Closing the gap. The race for the White House tightening in Georgia. America is watching and waiting as tensions build in the streets. Joe Biden nearing the 270 electoral votes needed to win, urging Americans to be patient.
Democracy is sometimes messy. It sometimes requires a little patience as well.
While President Trump makes unsupported claims of election fraud.
Our goal is to defend the integrity of the election. We will not allow the corruption to steal such an important election, or any election for that matter.
Election officials pledging to count every vote.
Fast is great, and we appreciate fast. We more appreciate accuracy.
We're continuing to follow our breaking news right now. The race to win Georgia, and there's a new front runner. Just over an hour ago, Democratic nominee Joe Biden taking the lead over President Donald Trump. He now leads by over 1,000 votes, 49.39% versus 49.37%, razor thin. Georgia has not been blue since President Bill Clinton was elected back in 1992. The vote continues in several counties this morning. And good Friday morning, everyone. I'm Sheba Russell.
And I am Francesca Amaker. Crash Clark and meteorologist Chesley McNeil are in studio today as well. But we'll have a check on your weather and traffic in just a few minutes. Now, our election team coverage continues this morning. There's still a lot of information to sort through. We're going through breaking news right now. We have crews all across the metro as votes continue being counted and processed. We'll get to Mara Sirianni in just a moment. She's in Clayton County, where those votes are having a major impact.
But first, we begin with Tracy Potts in Wilmington, Delaware, with a national look at the drawn-out ballot count in several swing states.
Sheba, good morning. We are waiting for a reaction from the Biden campaign team here in Wilmington to the big news out of Georgia this morning that, at least for the moment, Joe Biden has taken the lead. As you noted at the beginning of the newscast, that will be historic if it continues. We have heard from Biden in the last 24 hours. We've also heard from President Trump continuing to make a number of unsubstantiated claims about the election being stolen and about counting, like what's happening in Clayton County and Pennsylvania and other states. He claims these ballots that piled up before the election because they were mailed in are illegal. They are not.
Democrat officials never believed they could win this election honestly. I really believe that. That's why they did the mail-in ballots, where there's tremendous corruption and fraud going on.
We have no doubt that when the count is finished, Senator Harris and I will be declared the winners. So I ask everyone to stay calm, all the people to stay calm. The process is working.
Let's talk about that process. You know what's happening in Georgia, just to the north of you in North Carolina. They are still counting. Pennsylvania is one we're keeping our eye on because the president's huge 700,000 lead is down to less than 20,000 votes as of this hour. They've been counting overnight, like in Georgia, and reporting as well. Out west, Joe Biden continues to hold slim leads over President Trump, and both Nevada and Arizona are saying it could be this weekend before their counts are done.
All right, Tracy, thank you. And back to our breaking news here in Georgia. Biden pulling ahead of Trump. This major change happening after Clayton County dumped thousands of votes overnight. Election workers have been working all night there out of the bunker. Mara Sirianni live with more on this tight race. So, Mara, just about how many votes were dumped overnight out of Clayton County?
It was a couple thousand here, and this is really a stunning development. So as other counties stopped for the night here in Clayton County, these poll workers persisted. They just left the facility a short time ago, within the past 20 minutes or so. And again, the count here in Clayton County really is what pushed Georgia into the blue phase. I want to again show you, you're looking at video of these poll workers here in Clayton County. They really became the center of attention late last night into the early morning hours. Biden again taking the lead in Georgia for the first time. He's ahead of Trump by 917 points after more results were tabulated here in Clayton. Now, this is a big Democratic stronghold, and officials with the Board of Elections said they accepted a total of 30,000 absentee ballots. So again, this is a stunning development this early morning hours. Over the past hour or so, we have just learned this news. And again, those poll workers in the past 20 minutes have just headed out to their cars, and they went home. They have to be tired. It was a very long night for them into the early morning hours. They have closed up shop here, and the doors are locked.
Doors are locked already. Mara, thank you. And a quick clarification, Biden is now leading by 1,096 votes. It was 917. Right around 4:15 this morning, Kirsty Diaz at the big board, you have been keeping track of all of these new developments coming out of Clayton County, and you were watching it as Biden pulled ahead in these early morning hours.
Literally saw it happen. You have to hit refresh almost every 30 seconds just to make sure you don't miss something. All eyes right now are on Clayton County, this county right here, and you can see that dark blue. It is the most Democratic county here in Georgia. DeKalb County is a close second. But look at these percentage points right now. Now keep in mind, these numbers are coming from the Secretary of State's office. They haven't updated their numbers since 2:05 this morning. But even at that point, look at how close this was. Biden at 49.37%, Trump at 49.39, 0.02 between them. So we know that's going to change as soon as the state updates their numbers. Also want to show you this because, look, they already locked up the doors. They're tired. They've been working all night. But here is a look inside when those poll workers were working. That's what it looked like. And there's so many people shouting them out, sending them love, especially on social media, thanking them for their work overnight. This is how we're getting all of these updates in real time overnight. So here's the latest update. About 4:15 was the last time we got an update on the numbers and the votes came in. It was a total of about 240 votes. And we expect as the day goes through, we're probably going to get updates in about that number, 200 to 400 votes at a time. That's been about the average, and they've been updating it about every hour or so. So in this last update, 240 votes came in. Biden now leading by 1,096 votes. 30 of them went to Trump, 209 of them went to Biden. And, you know, we know that even though they're done counting, it takes a minute for those numbers to update. So I will keep clicking refresh until those numbers update again, Sheba.
All right, Christy, we know that a number of counties are still counting ballots. Any particular counties that we should be keeping a close eye on today for this to possibly shift in Trump's direction again?
Yes, there are. And I'm going to see if I can pull up the list, too, because there are several metro counties that we are still keeping an eye on. You know, let's see if I can pull up that list. We've got at least Cobb County, we know, still has a few. Floyd County up here, they've still got some. Forsyth County, right over here, they've still got some outstanding. Gwinnett County, we know Liza is in Gwinnett County. She knows they're adjudicating those. And then Lawrence County and Taylor County, those are outside of the metro, you know, further down in this section of Georgia. So there are still votes to be counted. At this moment, Georgia is blue, but there are still many votes to be counted, and those numbers could always change again. So we'll watch it as it does.
And Forsyth leans toward Trump. Harris leans toward Trump, Lawrence as well, Floyd as well.
Floyd as well.
Yeah. All right, Christy, we appreciate you keeping track of all of that for us. Major developments, it feels like every half hour or so.
Or even more. So yeah, I'll be here when it does.
All right, Francesca, let's send it over to you.
Christy, thank you. After counting absentee ballots, workers focus on provisional ballots in Fulton County. That's the focus today when poll workers come in. Jerry Carnes is live right now outside the elections warehouse with more. Jerry?
Good morning, Francesca. Fulton County cleared their biggest hurdle when they wrapped up work counting 145,000 absentee ballots. They spent more than 2 days counting those, but they will gather again later today here for one final count, and that will involve provisional ballots. We understand there's about 3,600 of those that Fulton County has yet to count. Voters were given the option of filling out a paper provisional ballot if they arrived at a polling place, maybe where a machine was down, or maybe they were at the wrong polling place. They would enter a provisional ballot, and again, 3,600 of those to count here in Fulton County. In addition to that, election officials are waiting for overseas military absentee ballots, and those will come in here in Fulton County and throughout the state. The deadline for those is 5 o'clock today, and really election officials all across the state of Georgia will have no idea how many of those they will receive.
Were there a few issues regarding absentee ballots? Certainly, but we rose to the occasion and accomplished what we wanted to accomplish.
That is Fulton County Commission Chairman Rob Pitts, who is one of the voters who had to enter a provisional ballot. He arrived at his polling spot, found a machine down, and so he decided to enter a provisional ballot. So his vote is one of the 3,600 that will be counted today here in Fulton County.
Jerry, thank you. Things are moving a little more quickly than expected in Gwinnett County. Let's head on over to Liza Lucas outside the Board of Election headquarters in Lawrenceville with an update.
Good morning, Shiva. Yes, we learned around midnight that the adjudication or review of the ballots that we've been talking about for days here in Gwinnett, the absentee by mail ballots that were affected by that software glitch, the review of those ballots is now complete and the counting can begin. And this is significant because we thought it was going to take days going into the weekend for that process to finish up. So here we are today. We're told the counting can begin. We had a chance to speak with one of the members of the teams that was part of that review process. Here's what she had to say.
Well, based on the primary, we're going much faster just because of the technology, as I mentioned. But I mean, I think everybody's, going through as fast as they can. You'll notice people are pretty quiet. They're pretty focused on what they're doing.
Well, that focus paid off. That was Francis Rocca. They are part of the group that spent the bulk of Thursday combing through 3,200 batches of ballots held up by that software error. The adjudication process happens when a ballot is incorrectly marked, and the panel reviews it, trying to determine the voter's intent or if the ballot can be counted. Now, as of this morning, we still don't have numbers on just how many ballots needed another look, but officials say tabulation, again, will start today. And also today, counting will begin for the remaining 4,400 absentee by mail ballots received on Election Day, plus the more than 450 ballots received from an advanced in-person voting location that needed to be rescanned because of a data card error. So the work here in Gwinnett happening much more quickly than expected. Again, as counting is completed, we're told that the results for these three groups of votes will be published. So we'll be watching for those results. So that'll be 4,800 plus votes expected here in Gwinnett, and we'll keep you posted with the very latest.
All right, thank you for tabulating that for us. Liza, thank you. The votes are so close. No matter who wins Georgia, it is likely there will be a recount.
And Joe Ripley is live with a closer look at how the recount process works.
Yeah, so in Georgia, if a statewide race comes to within half a percentage point, as we're looking at now in the presidential race here in Georgia, then a recount is triggered here in Georgia. With President Trump and former Vice President Biden running neck and neck right now, in all likelihood, we are headed for that recount. They are not common, recounts are, not for Georgia. A campaign usually requests a recount within 2 days of the vote being certified, and that could come sometime next week at the earliest. With the vote so close here in Georgia, the voting system implementation manager says he does believe the counting is happening fairly.
I think if anyone's going to try to rig a system, they might have seen something a little bit less close than this. That's one. Two, we have in this process 159 dedicated elections directors and their staff who are working to get this right. They're working diligently every single day.
And with the vote counts continuing across the state of Georgia, we will bring you updates as we get those, expecting to hear more from the Secretary of State's office later today.
Thanks a lot, Joe. We have a mild start starting off this morning with temperatures in the 50s, just a few clouds on the outside. Calling for partly sunny skies today, 69 by noon. We'll get up to 72 for your afternoon high today.
News here, this shooting in downtown. We continue to follow this on the Sky Tracker, showing Forsyth at Trinity completely blocked off. Trinity and Forsyth, again, quite a police presence here as we continue to follow breaking news. Just avoid the area.
Still to come, if you voted absentee, you need to make sure it was accepted. If it wasn't, you need to cure it today. Today is the deadline. I'll show you how just ahead.
Welcome back to Morning Rush with meteorologist Chesley McNeil, Francesca Amaker, Crash Clark, and Sheba Russell.
Let's bring you up to date on our breaking news right now. Joe Biden taking the lead in the race for president here in Georgia. What is separating the two right now? 1,096 votes. Joe Biden with 49.39%, Donald Trump with 49.37%. It is razor thin, and we still have about 10,000 ballots in Georgia that still need to be counted. We'll continue to update the story for you, but again, Biden taking the lead in Georgia. The latest vote dump coming out of Clayton County. They dumped about 3,500 votes overnight. Decision 2020 now, and Christy Diaz continuing our team coverage from the big board, tracking all of those numbers. And I know that you've been closely monitoring Clayton County, which we should just add here that they have wrapped up vote counting.
Yes, they are officially done counting the votes. That does not mean the total is official, though, because it takes a minute for those numbers to update. So shortly after 5 o'clock this morning, they were done counting. Let's take a look really quickly inside that room. If we can pull this picture up. This is what it looked like inside, and within about 30 minutes, everybody was gone. The doors were locked and closed. You know they've got to be tired. A lot of love for these people who stayed throughout the night to get this done. So that's what it looked like inside. At the latest update, though, we got that around 4:15 this morning, 240 votes, or rather, I guess it was, yeah, about that time. 240 votes came in. That means Biden is ahead now by a little over 1,096 votes. About 30 of them went for President Trump. 209 of them went to Joe Biden. So that doesn't mean the number is final, though. One other graph I want to show you, because this just is such a good visual representation of what has happened over the last few days. Here is Wednesday at noon. The red line representing President Trump, the blue line representing Joe Biden, and you can see the margin between them, how it has narrowed over the last couple of days to the point right here where they are so close, those lines touching, and then finally at the very end here, they cross, meaning that Joe Biden now leads President Trump here in Georgia by about 1,000 votes. And we should be getting another update hopefully soon. They seem to update every hour or so, but it's coming in little spurts. Sheba, you know, 200 votes here, 300 votes there.
All right. And right now, Clayton County's really the only county we know of right now that was open overnight, still tabulating votes.
Yeah, they're the only ones, but they're not the only ones we're waiting on vote totals for. So let's look back at this county-wide map. So Clayton County is here. So the dark blue one, they worked overnight. They are finally done counting. But let's go back statewide, and I'm going to show you some of the counties that we're still waiting and still have outstanding votes. So we know, according to the Secretary of State, there are about 6 of them. About 4 could break for President Trump. 2 could probably break for Joe Biden. We've got Cobb and Gwinnett. Both of those are blue. And then we've got Floyd, Forsyth, and then the 2 outside of the metro right here, Lawrence, that's a large county in Georgia. You can see that one is red. And then over here, you've got Taylor County, and that one is also red. There's a little 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, you know, about 1,200 votes between them that we're waiting on, and that is according to the Secretary of State's. We're also trying to independently verify how many outstanding votes there are. So we'll keep an eye on that number, Sheba.
Christy, thank you so much. Chesley, let's send it over to you. A lot of people want to get a break from all of the election chaos this weekend and head outdoors.
Let me suggest some tennis for you, maybe today, right? Fall tennis, got to get those leaves off the court, though. It's going to be nice enough to do whatever you want to do outside today. Not, well, we've got a little bit more in the way of clouds coming in, especially for the weekend, but it's still a decent day for us. Nice and mild out there. 72 degrees is very comfortable, very pleasant is what we'll call it. 69 degrees by noon. Of course, we'll hit 72, and then we'll drop back down to 65 degrees by 7 o'clock tonight. Now, the clouds will continuously move in as we head through the weekend. We've got that moisture coming over us now, but not a whole lot in the way of any rainfall. What will also play a role in our upcoming rain chances will be tropical depression which is a tropical depression right now. Eta, which has winds up to 35 miles per hour, moving to the north at 8 miles per hour. Here's what's going to happen. Now today we're expecting this to reform into a tropical storm. It's going to move up toward Cuba by Saturday and Sunday, and then by Monday head south over towards South Florida, and then you'll notice that it just kind of meanders around the west coast of Florida for a couple of days before continuing to move further off to the north. So we'll watch that. If it happens to move over toward our area, it won't be until later next week. We'll see the clouds increase for tomorrow. We'll call it a mix of sun and clouds for your Saturday. Sunday, mostly cloudy skies, but staying dry here. Mostly wet weather will stay in the central and southern portions of the state. So Sunday, we're looking at 71 degrees for your high, 73 degrees to start the work week on Monday. Here comes the better chance for the rain Tuesday and into Wednesday. In fact, Wednesday, a 50% chance for the rain with 76 for your high temperature. Crash?
All right, my friend, quiet on the interstates. That's the good news. A little bit of GDOT work down south on 75 near 138, right lane blocked, but not a big deal. Still want to watch out for this breaking news. A shooting downtown on Forsyth Street at Trinity Avenue has that entire area blocked off. Just avoid it if you can. The rest of that downtown drive as we pull out, not bad from the south side. In fact, wide open. And if you're off to the airport, how about 8 minutes from Brookwood all the way down to the south side split? That is not a bad ride at all. And there it is, your favorite shot you get from the 17th Street Bridge, showing that Midtown skyline and a wide open connector. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. This election, Georgia voters have cast more absentee ballots than any previous election. Now, there is a chance some ballots were rejected and will not be counted. Voters have until 5 p.m. today to cure their ballot, to fix it. Check your ballot status through My Voter page on the Secretary of State's website. You should have been notified if your ballot was rejected. Now, you must submit voter identification and an affidavit confirming the ballot submitted is actually yours. Once that's done, your ballot can be counted for the election. But remember, you only have until 5 p.m. today to cure your ballot. We posted links to help you on 11alive.com.
That goes for provisional ballots as well. It is 5:56 right now. Our continuing coverage of the race for president here in Georgia continues after the break. Biden leading Trump now by over 1,000 votes. We'll be right back.
Joe Biden taking the lead in Georgia. The former vice president inching closer to victory as new votes come in overnight. But could the razor-thin difference force a recount?
I ask everyone to stay calm, all the people to stay calm. The process is working. The count is being completed.
This as President Trump claims election fraud.
If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us.
Back to our breaking news. Former Vice President Joe Biden taking the lead in Georgia by over 1,000 votes, now leading President Trump for the first time since election night. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sheba Russell.
And I'm Francesca Amaker. The numbers have just come in as poll workers have been working around the clock.
Yeah, we watched those poll workers specifically in Clayton County crunching those votes, processing 3,500 votes between 2:30 and 5:30 this morning. They are done now. Let's take a closer look at the numbers, which just switched in Biden's favor right around 4:15 this morning. Biden pulling ahead of Trump, again, by 1,096 votes to be exact. Biden with 49.39%, Donald Trump with 49.37%. And nationwide, let's take a look at those numbers. Biden leads by more than 4 million votes with, you can see them neck and neck there, 49-49. It is close. Oh, this is Georgia. This is Georgia. All right. Do we have that graph? All right, Francesca, over to you.
All right, well, there's still so much more information to dig through, Sheba, but our crew is here to help break all that down for us. We have team coverage across the metro area as votes are still being processed, including in Clayton County. That's where we find Mara Sirianni, where we've been seeing some major developments overnight, Mara.
Francesca, that last batch of votes here in Clayton County is what gave Biden the lead here in Georgia. Those poll workers wrapping up here just after 5 o'clock this morning. It was a long night for them, and they worked into the early morning hours as we saw many other counties stop working and stop counting. Again, these guys here in Clayton County persisted, and they finished. They got those numbers in. So the Secretary of State's website will likely continue to update as we see these numbers continue to trickle in here. They're changing very rapidly, but I want to show you some video of these workers. Again, they really are being praised out here. So Clayton County became the center of attention late last night into the early morning hours. This is a Democratic stronghold in a county that is a part of which is represented by the late Congressman John Lewis. Now, as of about 2 o'clock this morning, again, Sheba mentioned this, they had about 3,500 votes to get through, I should say ballots to get through, and they did that. The doors here are locked at the facility where they were counting, and so again, the count here in Clayton County has wrapped up.
Mara, thank you. Our team coverage continues now with Christy Diaz at the big board with a closer look at those numbers out of Clayton County.
So it was about 4:16 this morning when Georgia officially flipped, when Biden pulled ahead by about 463 votes. The last update on the numbers came in about an hour ago, right at 5:03 a.m. And as it stands, Joe Biden is still ahead by 1,096 votes. In fact, he widened that margin. And this is a visual representation of what has happened over the last couple of days. This graph starts at right about noon on Wednesday, red for Trump, blue for Biden. And you can see how that gap between them has narrowed over the past couple of days to the point where the lines are touching, and then finally at the very end right here, 4:16 this morning, crosses over, meaning Joe Biden has pulled ahead in Georgia. And for this moment, at least, Georgia is now blue. That hasn't happened in several years, since 1992 when Georgia elected Clinton. So this is a big deal. Now, here's a big question that we've been getting. A lot of people asking me this on social media too. How many votes are there left to count? And that's a great question. Here's the best information that I can give you right now. The last official update we had from the Secretary of State was about 10:30 last night. And at that point, there were just over 14,000 votes that were still outstanding. Now, if we, as we've gone through the morning, we know that has changed because Clayton County counted their votes throughout the night, and we know that they processed at least 3,500 from 2:30 this morning until now, when they, about 5 o'clock when they finished up. So by my count, because there are still some counties, Floyd County up here, Forsyth, Gwinnett, Cobb, we've got Lawrence County, and then Taylor County down here that we're still waiting on some outstanding votes. And according to the Secretary of State's numbers, it sounds like there are about, black is good, okay, 9,742 votes. I would say at least that many outstanding votes statewide. Of course, we have a team that is working to independently verify that number. I'm telling you, say thanks to this team because they spent the day yesterday calling around to every single elections office. There are 159 counties in Georgia. They called every single one to try and get the correct number so we can verify this. But as of this moment, that is the best estimate I can give you on how many votes there still are statewide.
Chrissy, is it clear if that number includes provisional ballots and military ballots?
See, that's a great question too. To be honest with you, there's a lot of guessing going on here. Some counties know for sure, some don't, and so that's why the numbers keep changing. That's why we're watching this so closely, and Georgia is still too close to call. And that is also another great point to make, is that even though right now at this point Georgia is blue, Biden is still ahead by a little over 1,000 votes, there are still many more votes to count. And like you saw, many of these counties are red. Now, they're more rural counties, not quite as dense in population. So still unsure how this vote is going to turn out. It is so close, 0.02% between Trump and Biden. So that's why all eyes are here on Georgia.
Absolutely. The national headlines have changed to reflect what's going on here in our state right now. Again, Joe Biden leading President Trump by over 1,000 votes. Let's send it on over to Francesca.
Sheba, thank you. Let's head now to Fulton County, where Jerry Carnes is live at the elections warehouse, where poll workers will begin counting provisional ballots today. Jerry.
That's exactly right, Francesca. Fulton County elections officials spent more than 2 days here at this facility counting 145,000 absentee ballots. That was a meticulous process. They had to examine many of those ballots before uploading them to the Secretary of State's office. That work is behind them, and now they will gather here later today to begin the final count, and that will involve those provisional ballots. We understand there's about 3,600 of them here in Fulton County that need to be counted. Those provisional ballots were entered by voters if they arrived at a polling place, maybe where a machine was down, or perhaps they were at the wrong polling spot. They were given the option of filling out a paper ballot known as a provisional ballot. So 3,600 of those to be counted here in Fulton County today. In addition to that, election officials are waiting for overseas military absentee ballots that can arrive anytime before 5 o'clock today. And here in Fulton County, really throughout the state of Georgia, they don't know how many of those they'll receive.
And I could not be more pleased with the results that we have here today. Nor, though, could I have ever imagined that Fulton County, Georgia, would mean at this point in time, at this moment in history, what it appears to be with respect to the outcome of the 2020 presidential election.
That is Fulton County Commission Chairman Rob Pitts, and as you heard him say, Fulton County and the entire state of Georgia, very, very important in this race, the margin in the presidential race, so razor thin. These 3,600 provisional ballots counted here in Fulton County today could be very important.
Jerry, thank you. From Fulton County to Gwinnett County right now. Liza Lucas continuing our team coverage from outside Gwinnett County Board of Elections headquarters in Lawrenceville, where she has been stationed all week for us. All right, so Liza, bring us up to date here. The process to adjudicate ballots has wrapped up, and much sooner than Gwinnett County had expected. They initially were telling us that the vote count could last through the weekend. That's changed now?
That's right. This is a huge development in Gwinnett County. We thought this process was going to take about 3 days, going into Saturday, possibly even Sunday. That's what they were preparing us for here in Gwinnett. And then we learned overnight the process is complete. So significant.
All right, we clearly have lost Liza there, but we will try to get back to her on the update happening out of Gwinnett County. Hoping to get a result out of Gwinnett County today, since things are sped up a little bit more. There is a strong likelihood that Georgia could head into a recount no matter which candidate wins the presidential race in our state.
And recounts are strictly controlled by state law, and the presidential race seems to fall within the legal guidelines. Joe Ripley is live right now in Clayton County this morning with more on how the process works. Joe?
Yeah, so good morning. Let me break this down for you. If a statewide race here in Georgia comes to within 0.5 percentage point, then a recount is triggered. The race right now between President Trump and former Vice President Biden, neck and neck right now, razor thin margin separating the two. We expect that to hold throughout the day, throughout this vote counting. So in all likelihood, we are headed for a recount. Campaign usually requests that recount within 2 days of the vote being certified, and that could come sometime next week at the earliest. With the vote so close here in Georgia, the voting system implementation manager says he does believe the counting is happening fairly.
I think if anyone's going to try to rig a system, they might have seen something a little bit less close than this. That's one. Two, we have in this process 159 dedicated elections directors and their staff who are working to get this right. They are working diligently every single day. We have.
And later on today, we expect to hear from the Secretary of State's office on that update on where that vote count stands here in Georgia.
And we will keep track of the latest results as the votes come in. If you want to send them straight to your phone, text the word result to the number on your screen. It is 404-885-7600. You can also download the 11 Alive News app to get an alert as soon as the race is called in Georgia. All right, we're following some other breaking news for you this morning. An officer-involved shooting in downtown Atlanta. This is along Trinity Avenue, happening overnight. The GBI is on the scene. Not much information just yet at this point, but again, an officer-involved shooting. They were called in to help out Atlanta police. Not clear yet what led up to the shooting or if anyone was injured. Right now, the roads near the area are closed while they investigate. Let's turn to Crash Clark now with an update on how that's affecting that neighborhood.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sheba. This is a live look right here from the Sky Tracker. We're right on top of it. I've been watching a lot of police come and go. You've got the yellow tape out right here along Trinity Avenue at first sight. Looks like they're stretching down towards Peachtree Street as well. Not impacting Ted Turner, so that's the good news there. You can get around this. A lot of ways to get around this, but they're going to be out here investigating. As you can see right here, this officer lifting up the tape, allowing another vehicle, obviously a police vehicle, to get by and continue that investigation. Let me show you a little bit closer where we're talking about Trinity Avenue. It's going to be just to the eastern side of where Mercedes-Benz Stadium is there, and again at Forsyth Street. Not impacting your downtown connector whatsoever. In fact, the connector is in perfect shape. Mr. Chesley McNeil, over to you, my friend.
All right, thanks a lot, Crash. A live look here in Noonan, and things seem to be nice and pleasant. That's the way it's starting off everywhere. We're going to have decent amounts of sunshine for today, despite the fact that the clouds are pushing in, and you can see those clouds as we speak this morning. Now, no rain coming out of those clouds at all, and we don't anticipate seeing any rain here today at all. Temperature starting off in the 50s in a lot of spots like Atlanta at 57, 53 degrees right now in Duluth, 52 degrees in Gainesville, a couple 40s, even 39 degrees. Cool spot up there in Blairsville. Here's your forecast. 69 by noon, on our way to 72 for an afternoon high with those northeast winds about 10 miles per hour today.
6:12 right now. Ahead here on Morning Rush, the Trump campaign's efforts to pull some votes aside in Georgia. That lawsuit has been thrown out. The very latest on the judge's decision.
And Donald Trump Jr. holds a rally in Atlanta. His message to voters still ahead.
Taking another look at those numbers in the race for president here in Georgia, Joe Biden taking the lead with a little over 1,000 votes, 49.39%. He's leading Donald Trump with 49.37%. The votes are still being tabulated. We're not done yet. And let's take a look at the numbers nationwide. Biden is still leading as well nationwide with 51% of the vote compared to 48% of the vote. A number of key battleground states still need to be called. Biden leading with over 4 million votes. Chrissy Diaz tracking all of the numbers at the big board for us, and she has the latest developments and more information on Clayton County, because this is the county where we saw election workers working into the night, tabulating those votes. About 3,500 or so from 2:30 on, and they've now wrapped up. And so we look to other counties to see what they will do and how those votes will be not be tabulated, but how those votes will come out.
Right. So we know that they are done counting in Clayton County, and at this point, those tired workers have already left, gone home, and locked up those doors. But let's take a look at what it looked like in there earlier this morning. See if I can pull this video full for you. Man, don't you want to thank these workers? They spent all night here figuring out and counting the rest of these ballots. 3,500, we know they processed since about 2:30 this morning, and they deserve some good sleep, don't they? Yeah, they do. So here's what we know. Here's Clayton County, that deep blue county, probably the most Democratic county in the state. The last update we got from them where the vote totals changed was at 5:03. And on average, we've been getting new vote tallies about every hour. So at 6:15, 6:17, we should be getting an update soon. I am refreshing every 30 seconds or so, so you will be the first to know when I know. Right now, the lead holds. Biden is still ahead by about 1,096 votes. And the last total that we got had about 240 votes that pushed that number forward. So we think the totals that we're going to see will be pretty small from here on out. 200 votes here, 300 votes there at a time, likely every hour unless something changes. And that's where it stands in Clayton County as of right now, Sheba.
Thank you so much. All right, let's send it over to Chesley.
6:18 is the current time. Let's take a look at our forecast for today. Look at the 4 essential times of the day. And it shows that temperatures will be warming up. Now, we start off in the 50s, which is nice and pleasant for us. We started out this week with temperatures in the 30s, and we had some 40s out there, so finally starting to warm up a little bit. 69 by noon. We'll hit 72 for an afternoon high temperature. Partly sunny skies is what we'll call it for today. In fact, it'll be that way all day long, even for tonight. We'll drop down to 65 degrees by 7 o'clock tonight. Not much going on over us. We have the clouds in place, but no rain coming out of the clouds. We do not anticipate seeing any rain at all for today. In fact, our rain chance doesn't increase until we get into next week. And what may play a role in that is this area of low pressure here. Right now, tropical depression with winds up to 35 miles per hour, moving to the north at 8 miles per hour. This is Ada. Ada started out as a Category 4, at least made landfall as a Category 4 hurricane. We'll move back over the northern Caribbean here as a tropical storm. It is forecast to become a tropical storm once again this afternoon. It's going to head up toward Cuba. Here's Cuba here. There is South Florida right there, and it's expected to move right by South Florida by Sunday into Monday, and then hang along the west coast of Florida here as we head into next week, just kind of meandering around. Some models have it breaking down, some models have it just holding on and then moving up to the north. We'll have to wait and see. Certainly the moisture from this will play a role in our forecast as we head into next week. How much of a role still remains in the air, so we'll keep you updated on that. Here's our forecast track model. You can follow along with the time right there at the top of the screen. Shows partly sunny skies for this afternoon. Not bad. More clouds moving in on Saturday will give us a mix of sun and clouds through the day. Rainfall stays in the central and southern portions of the state for now, so we're not looking at any rainfall on Saturday. Sunday, mostly cloudy skies. And notice no rainfall still. It won't be until we get to Tuesday. I think our rain chance goes up a little bit. You're looking at a 30% chance on Tuesday. 75 degrees will be the high temperature. Veterans Day, we're looking at 76 with a 50% chance of rain, maybe a thunderstorm or two. 40% chance for those thunderstorms will be around on Thursday, and those temperatures will be in the mid to low to mid 70s as we head into next week. In fact, we hit the 70s today, and I don't think we'll look back right on through the weekend and into next week. Crash Clark, over to you.
All right, my friend. Friday's been kind of holding a little bit lighter than normal on the interstates. However, we continue to follow breaking news. An officer-involved shooting downtown has Trinity Avenue completely shut down. It looks like between Forsyth, right here is Forsyth, down towards Peachtree. So just avoid that area if you can. We've got a crew on the way. We'll get you more details on that. Still blocking a right lane, but not a big deal. 75 South near Highway 138. That's another GDOT work crew that's out there. In fact, look at this. When we show you the color of my commute, well, obviously you don't want red, even yellow you don't want. You've got condition green on just about every major interstate. Want to give you a little heads up. 285 eastbound, the ramp to 400 southbound. GDOT's got that shut down with construction. I got stuck in that today, had to turn around twice. So watch your speed in all those GDOT work zones, and we'll of course continue to update you on this breaking news right here. An officer-involved shooting, Trinity at Forsyth in downtown, and obviously we'll continue with the election updates as those results continue to come in. We'll be right back.
.623 right now. Let's take a look at the U.S. Senate race here in Georgia, also being closely watched by the nation. This could be headed for a runoff as Republican incumbent Senator David Perdue is now below that 50% mark with 49.85%. His challenger, Democrat Jon Ossoff, with 47.84%. Jon Ossoff expected to have a news conference later on this morning. And when that happens, we'll bring it to you live on 11alive.com.
This is an incredible election season. Georgia now heavily impacting the presidential race and who could control the Senate, because now it looks like we have two Senate races that could be headed to a runoff. We already knew, let's take a look here. We already knew that this race, the one between Loeffler and Warnock, was going to a runoff. They had almost 19 people on the ballot, so that was pretty inevitable. But this one is the one that we have been following very closely, and it looks like the current incumbent, David Perdue, has fallen just below 50%. In fact, let me update this for you. At last check, this was 49.87%, and Ossoff was at 47.84%. 0.82%. That's about 2 percentage points between them. And I just crunched the numbers. It looks like they're about 98,000 votes apart. So as those vote totals keep coming in, that margin again keeps narrowing, and it looks like these two could be headed for a runoff in January. We'll keep following it.
Christy, thank you. The Trump campaign held a news conference in Atlanta last night. Congressman Doug Collins joined Donald Trump Jr. with a crowd of the president's supporters. Trump Jr. repeated some of his father's claims about the results, but did not provide evidence to back his statements up.
When I hear there's a deadline and then magically boxes appear later, we know that's against the law, but you get in front of a Democrat judge in a Democrat city with Democrat control, and it's okay. Then, before you can contest it, they throw those ballots in one big box. Now you can't tell which one is accurate and which isn't. I think the Democrats are used to this from a Republican Party that hasn't had a backbone.
Now, Donald Trump Jr.'s message coming hours after the Trump campaign lost its legal battle here in Georgia. A judge in Savannah has dismissed the campaign's lawsuit, alleging that late mail-in ballots were being counted in Chatham County. The lawsuit accused a poll worker of throwing 53 late absentee ballots into a pile of eligible ballots to be counted. But county officials testified every ballot was properly documented and logged. The judge did not say why he decided to dismiss the lawsuit. The Trump campaign also lost its legal battle in Michigan after a judge there rejected an effort to stop the count.
If there is one thing we learned in this election, it is that every vote matters. Up next, we'll show you the steps to make sure your vote counts before today's Cure Your Ballot deadline.
Closing the gap, the race for the White House tightening in Georgia. America is watching and waiting as tensions build in the streets. Joe Biden nearing the 270 electoral votes needed to win, urging Americans to be patient.
Democracy is sometimes messy. it sometimes requires a little patience as well.
While President Trump makes unsupported claims of election fraud.
Our goal is to defend the integrity of the election. We will not allow the corruption to steal such an important election, or any election for that matter.
Election officials pledging to count every vote.
Fast is great, and we appreciate fast. We more appreciate accuracy.
The race to win Georgia, and we have a new frontrunner this morning. Joe Biden taking the lead over President Donald Trump. Just about 2 hours ago, Georgia has not been blue since President Bill Clinton was elected in 1992. Biden now leading by over 1,000 votes. Good Friday morning, everyone. I'm Sheba Russell.
And I'm Francesca Amaker. Crash Clark and meteorologist Chesley McNeil are in studio today as well. We'll have a check on your weather and traffic in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, our election team coverage continues this morning. There's still a lot of information to sort through. We have crews all across the metro as votes continue being counted and processed.
We begin with Mara Sirianni live in Clayton County, where they just wrapped up their overnight vote counting right around 5 o'clock this morning. Right, Mara?
They did. It was a really long night for these guys. These poll workers here, they have to be exhausted, but they got it done. Many people praising these poll workers. The doors are locked here at the facility where they had been working. And so, yeah, they left just after 5 o'clock this morning. And this last batch of ballots here in Clayton County is likely what gave Biden the edge here in the early morning hours. A stunning development if you're just waking up. And I want to show you some video of these poll workers here. Clayton County really became the center of attention late last night into the early morning hours. This is a county that is a Democratic stronghold, and a county part of which was represented by the late Congressman John Lewis. So as of 1:30 this morning, they still had about 3,500 ballots to count, but the very latest, they were able to get through that, and they left just after 5 o'clock this morning. We're going to send it back to you in studio.
Mara, thank you. Chrissy Diaz continuing our team coverage now at the big board in the 11 Alive newsroom. Chrissy, tell us more about what's happening here with the vote specifically in Clayton County and what we should be watching for as the day progresses.
Well, we should be watching for the next vote tally. That should happen any minute now. They've been giving updates, and that vote total has been changing about every hour. The last update we got was at 5:03 when 240 votes came in and pushed Biden to the lead by 1,096 votes. We still haven't gotten a new update since 5:03, so it should come at any moment, and I am monitoring that minute by minute. Be sure of that. Clayton County is here. Just to remind you, where in the metro, it's that deep blue county. And you can see we expected that spread in Clayton County to be big, but look at what it's done to the spread statewide. Because of those votes, it actually flipped Georgia about 4:15 this morning. Georgia hasn't been blue like this since 1992, so this is a big deal. Now, of course, it is important to note that there are still many votes left to be counted outside of the metro here in Taylor and Lawrence, also Floyd and Forsyth. Those are red counties, although they are rural, not quite as dense. And then there are some more votes in Cobb and Gwinnett that still need to be counted. So at least for this moment, Georgia is blue, but that could always change. We'll keep tracking it. Right now, Biden, again, still ahead, leading by 1,096 votes, but that number will likely change throughout the morning.
All right, Christy, thank you so much. Francesca, over to you.
All right, Sheba, taking a look at Fulton County now, the biggest hurdle has been cleared. That is the counting of 145,000 absentee ballots, but the work is not completely over. Election officials will gather again today for one final count. That's the provisional ballots. There were about 3,600 provisional ballots cast here in Fulton County on Tuesday. Those are the ballots cast when a person shows up at the wrong polling place. For a short time, there were technical issues with machines that forced voters to vote provisional. So 3,600 provisional ballots still to count, and overseas military ballots can arrive any time before the end of today. Election officials here in Georgia's largest county don't know how many of them they may receive. Now, the overwhelming majority of the votes in Fulton County have been counted, only a handful left. All of the important with these races so tight here in Georgia. Sheba.
Now to our second largest county, Gwinnett County. The adjudication process is done there. So that's the big development this morning. That is the process that happens when a ballot is marked incorrectly. But it could take, who knows? We're going to check in with Liza Lucas now to get an update on just how long it's going to take now to process these ballots. She's at the Gwinnett County Board of Election headquarters in Lawrenceville with an update. So, Liza, I'm saying who knows because just as of yesterday, late yesterday, they were saying it could go on until Sunday. Do you think now that the adjudication process wrapped up earlier that we could perhaps have a result earlier out of Gwinnett County?
Well, that is the expectation, and certainly the timeline has been pushed up, given we thought it was going to take 3 days to review all of those ballots. Now they say the counting is going to start this morning, so we're going to be watching for those numbers here in Gwinnett throughout the day, but definitely a significant development given that timeline. And we spoke with one of the team members who was in part of reviewing those ballots, and here's what she had to say about the process.
Well, based on the primary, we're going much faster just because of the technology, as I mentioned. But I mean, I think everybody's going through as fast as they can. You'll notice people are pretty quiet. They're pretty focused on what they're doing.
So that focus has essentially paid off here in Gwinnett. That was Francis Rockow, who helped comb through 3,200 batches of ballots that were held up by a software error. And as of this morning, we still don't have numbers on just how many ballots needed another look, but officials again saying tabulation will start this morning. And also today we'll be counting for the remaining 4,400 absentee by mail ballots received on Election Day, plus the more than 450 ballots received from an advanced in-person voting location that needed to be rescanned because of a data card error. So the pace has certainly picked up here in Gwinnett. Again, counting set to start today, and based on the estimates that we can do at this point, we're expecting 4,800 plus votes to still come from this county.
Liza, thank you. And at 10:30 last night, Georgia still had a little over 14,000 votes left to count in several counties. Obviously, that number has shrunk substantially in the overnight hours. The votes are just so close. No matter who wins Georgia, it is likely there will be a recount.
Joe Ripley is live with a closer look at how the recount process works.
Yeah, so it's not really a matter of if it's looking like, it's a matter of when that recount happens here in Georgia. As a rule here in Georgia, statewide elections, if they come within half a percentage point, they qualify for that recount. With the margin right now between President Trump and former Vice President Biden razor thin right now, in all likelihood, that is where we are headed, that recount. They're not common here in Georgia. Campaign usually requests those recounts within 2 days of the vote being certified. That could come sometime next week. With the vote so close here in Georgia, the voting system implementation manager says he does believe that counting is happening fairly.
I think if anybody's going to try to rig a system, they might have seen something a little bit less close than this. That's one. Two, we have in this process 159 dedicated elections directors and their staff who are working to get this right. They're working diligently every single day. We have the
And we are expecting an update later today from the Secretary of State's office as those vote counts continue across the state of Georgia.
Look for more of our coverage of the 2020 election online at 11alive.com, and that's where you'll find real-time results. We want to get back to our breaking news out of downtown Atlanta. Jerry Carnes just arriving on the scene there, where police are investigating an officer-involved shooting. Jerry, what have you learned?
Well, Sheba, as you say, we did just arrive here on the scene, and we don't have a lot of information at this time, but we can show you this very active scene behind us, a couple of blocks of Trinity Avenue here in downtown Atlanta, blocked off, and you see the heavy police presence here. What we know is that this is an officer-involved shooting, and the Georgia Bureau of Investigations is here to investigate. In fact, just moments ago, we saw this van from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation show up, as well as crime scene investigators from the GBI. That is routine in a officer-involved shooting. Again, right here in downtown Atlanta, near City Hall, a couple of blocks of Trinity Avenue blocked off. We saw some folks a little bit earlier examining an SUV here with the doors open. Don't know what involvement that had in this situation, but they were definitely examining that vehicle, focusing some of their investigation on that. They're also in the middle of the road, as you can see, this large area taped off here, as both Atlanta Police and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation involved in investigating this shooting. Again, an officer-involved shooting here. Georgia Bureau of Investigations on the scene investigating it. We will bring you more information as we get it.
All right, Jerry Carnes live. Then there's another look from the Sky Tracker. We've been monitoring this all morning as this develops, and we'll continue to update you. But Trinity and Forsyth, as Jerry was saying, shut down. Now, there are ways to get around this, easy ways. Memorial will get you around it. You could use Ted Turner Drive. This is all just south of the CNN Center. It's just this one particular block here is going to remain closed for quite a while. It's been very quiet out on the roads. We expect that for a Friday. 75, 575 in fantastic shape. In fact, that's all part of the big three, and they're looking good. Condition green on 400 and on I-85. Give you one more look here of this breaking news. Trinity Avenue blocked off completely at Forsyth Street in downtown. Chesley?
All right, thanks a lot, Crash. We are looking at clouds pushing a little further over toward the east. Most of these are thin, and so we'll get some sunshine in here. Partly sunny skies is what we'll call it for today. Temperatures starting off in the 50s in a lot of spots, except up here to the far north. You got 45 in Dalton, 47 degrees over toward Rome, 38 degree start there in Blairsville. Pretty chilly there. Everywhere else, mild, and we'll be mild for the rest of the afternoon. Looking at partly sunny skies, 72 degrees will be our afternoon high temperature. Northwest breeze about 10 miles per hour. We can take that. Our weekend looks a little bit more cloudy, but will there be rain? We'll let you know in the full forecast coming up.
6:40 right now. Ahead here on Morning Rush, our political analyst, Dr. Andra Gillespie, will join us live to talk more about Joe Biden now leading President Trump right here in Georgia with over 1,000 votes. That's coming up in about 3 minutes.
Welcome back to Morning Rush with meteorologist Chesley McNeil, Francesca Amaker, Crash Clark, and Sheba Russell.
We continue to stay on top of our breaking election news. Right now, the nation continues to remain glued to Georgia as the race for the White House tightens in our state. Former Vice President Joe Biden now leading Donald Trump by over 1,000 votes. Our 11 Alive political analyst, Emory University political science professor Dr. Andra Gillespie has been keeping a close eye, watching these numbers with us as they roll in. She's joining us live again this morning, working overtime. I saw you on Up Late last night, so we appreciate you joining us here on Morning Rush. So what do you make of this result here? Do you think Joe Biden will continue to stay in the lead here?
Well, I have to say that I'm not surprised that Joe Biden took the lead. Once we knew the location of the outstanding absentee ballots, knowing that they were coming, that the bulk of them were coming from heavily Democratic counties, it's not surprising that he's pulled ahead. There are other ballots that remain to be counted, so people who have problems with their absentee ballots and need to cure them have until today to be able to correct those. If you have a provisional ballot and you haven't gone back to show your ID, for instance, you have until the end of today to make sure that you do that as well. And so once those votes get counted and once all of the military ballots arrive, and they have to arrive by today and get counted, then we'll have a clearer sense of what the final outcome is going to be. But needless to say, regardless of who wins, this is going to be extremely close.
Do you think the race for president here in Georgia will be called today?
Excuse me. I think that that's a really hard call, just given how close the margins are. And I think people's aversion to calling things prematurely and risking having to take it back, I wouldn't be surprised if people wait until everything gets counted. But then again, you never know.
All right, let's turn to the other race that everyone is watching as well. NBC News projecting a likely runoff for our second U.S. Senate race between Republican incumbent Senator David Perdue and Democrat Jon Ossoff. The Perdue campaign saying that if they go into overtime, he will still come out on top. Ossoff's campaign saying if there is a runoff, Georgians will send him to the Senate. And, we're already hearing about loads of money coming into our state as both party tries to get each candidate into that Senate seat. So what's the road ahead look like here?
Well, Democrats, of course, are hoping that both races go to a runoff. Assuming that there are no other Democratic pickups in the outstanding Senate races, particularly in North Carolina, the last two Georgia seats could actually push the Senate to a 50-50 tie. And if Joe Biden is president, then that means Kamala Harris is the tiebreaker as the presiding officer of the Senate. So Democrats really do care about this. Just knowing where absentee ballots were coming from and the fact that the remainder of them were largely coming from Democratic counties, it's not surprising that Jon Ossoff would appear to benefit from that more than David Perdue would, and that might actually drag Senator Perdue's numbers below 50%. So again, we're going to be looking at a razor-thin margin there, and I think that people have to prepare that they're going to be two runoffs, but we'll wait until the final tally to know exactly where Senator Perdue stands.
Dr. Andra Gillespie, thank you so much for joining us and working around the clock for us to make sure we all understand the importance that Georgia has in this race for president. So let's take another look at the numbers here in Georgia in the presidential race. Again, Biden taking the lead right around 4:15 this morning over Donald Trump for the first time since election night. He now leads by over 1,000 votes. We are waiting for some more votes to come in, and as soon as we get those new numbers, we'll bring it to you. The Secretary of State's office expected to give another update on the election around 10:30 this morning from the state capitol. Yesterday, we heard from the so-called numbers guy. Not sure if this will be the Secretary of State himself, but when it happens, we'll bring it to you live on air, online, and on our 11 Alive YouTube page.
Christy Diaz in the newsroom now, taking a closer look at the very close Senate race between Republican Senator David Perdue and Democrat Jon Ossoff. Christy.
Yeah, while we're waiting for this Clayton County vote to come in, which we should get another update soon, let's not forget about this race. Georgia is having a huge impact not only on the presidential race, but also on the balance of power in the Senate. Look at these numbers. Right now, it is evenly split, 48 Democrats, 48 Republicans. And look at Georgia's two little circles right here. You've got this one, which is now likely headed to a runoff with incumbent David Perdue and Democrat Jon Ossoff. These percentages are rounding up. So that's actually 49.85 and 47.84. That's more accurate. Now, this one over here, it's blue because right now Warnock is ahead. We knew this one would likely go to a runoff. There were so many people on the ballot, about 19 people. So right now, Raphael Warnock is currently ahead by, several points, but he and Kelly Loeffler will go to a runoff in January, and now it's looking like Perdue and Ossoff will too. Let's take a closer look at the Perdue and Ossoff race. Right now, let's write those percentages down for you because that's not a great representation. This is more like 49 46.85, and this is more like 47.84. And when you do the math, there's less than 100,000 votes between them. It's sitting right at 98,000 or so. So this is going to be a big one to watch. The runoff is scheduled for January, but we do still have more votes to come in from in the metro and outside of it. So this could always change throughout the day. We'll keep a close eye. Let's take it over to Francesca now.
Christy, thank you. And we will keep track of the latest results, as Christy mentioned, as the votes do trickle in. If you want them sent straight to your phone, text the word result to the number on your screen right now. You can also download the 11 Alive News app to get an alert as soon as the race is called in Georgia. That number, 404-885-7600. Now let's take a look at your weather and traffic.
6:49 the current time. Let's take a look. We have, what are your plans for today? You gonna play some tennis? Maybe you gotta get the leaves off the court, right? Get them out of there, and then you can play some hitting. This is a good social distancing game here because you're on opposite sides of the court, right? More than 6 feet away. 72 degrees will be our afternoon high temperature. Will be a mild, partly sunny afternoon. In fact, we'll hold on to the partly sunny skies for much of the day today. 69 degrees by noon. We'll drop back down to 65 by 7 o'clock tonight. You can see the clouds over us right now, but no rain coming out of those clouds at all. You can see the clouds, or I mean the rain itself is back off toward the east coast and not moving much in, although it will eventually make its way in here, mainly for the central and southern portions of the state for the weekend. We'll start to get in on the act as we head into early next week. Tropical depression Ada, still packing winds up to 35 miles per hour, just moved offshore, so back over the warmer waters of the Caribbean Sea. It is forecast to become a tropical storm later this afternoon and then head up toward Cuba. Here's Cuba right there, right? And here's South Florida. It will begin to bend back toward South Florida and then eventually into the Gulf. But it looks like it's going to hang out right along the west coast of Florida for a little while, or for much of next week before it begins to move to the north, or it begins to dissipate. The model's really differing on what's going to happen to it after it gets into the Gulf. So something that we'll watch and keep you updated, especially if it has an impact on our forecast. Certainly if it hangs out off the west coast of Florida, we'll spread some moisture our way. Not for the weekend though. Today, partly sunny skies. Tomorrow, going to be a mix of sun and clouds through the day on Saturday. Again, the wet weather stays down here to the central and southern portions of the state. Mostly cloudy skies on Sunday, but notice no green here, no rain. We won't get in on the rain until we get to, well, Monday there's a 20% chance, 30% chance once we get to Tuesday. By Wednesday, Veterans Day, looking at a 50% chance. Could be a couple thunderstorms around as well. 76 will be your high temperature. 74 degrees by Thursday with a 40% chance for the rain.
All right, I would imagine when those raindrops come in, we'll definitely see a little shift in the rush hour pattern. Been pretty quiet out here. A wee bit of volume on I-20 coming in West Expressway around Fulton Industrial Boulevard. That's standard stuff. You guys are familiar with that. We continue to follow breaking news. We've got a crew on the scene. Jerry Carnes is out there. He'll give us some more updates. But this officer-involved shooting, Forsyth Street at Trinity Avenue. Avoid that area. That is completely shut down while they investigate. It's been very quiet on the connector. Southbound wide open. 8 minutes from Brookwood to the south side split northbound. You see a little bit of that volume around the Grady curve, but all in all, not bad. Look at that. Beautiful sunrise coming up. A little bit of construction traffic. This is 285. You're looking eastbound right around Glen Ridge and Roswell Road, but the 400 southbound ramp has been reopened. Looks like folks are finally getting out and about for the Friday ride. We'll be right back with your checklist.
Our Decision 2020 coverage will continue throughout the day, both on air and online. This morning, the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, will give another update on the vote count in Georgia from the state capitol. The press release says that it will be him. If you recall yesterday, it was the numbers guy. Someone from the Secretary of State's office will be offering an update. That's happening at 10:30, and when it happens, we'll bring it to you again, both on air, and look for our YouTube channel for it to be carried there as well.
This election, Georgia voters have cast more absentee ballots than any previous election. Now, there is a chance some absentee ballots and provisional ballots were rejected and will be not counted. Okay, so voters have until 5 p.m. today to cure both absentee and your provisional ballot to fix them. Check your ballot status through the My Voter page on the Secretary of State's website. You should have been notified if yours was rejected. You must submit voter identification and an affidavit confirming the ballot submitted is actually yours. Once that's done, your ballot can be counted for the election. But remember, you only have until 5 p.m. today to cure or fix your ballot. We posted links to help you on 11alive.com.
Well, we're looking at a 10 on the thermometer today. 72 degrees will be our afternoon high under partly sunny skies. Same tomorrow, except we're looking at 72 with a few more clouds moving in. By the time we hit Sunday, mostly cloudy skies, 71 degrees for the high, but we remain dry all the way through the weekend. It won't be until next week that we get a better chance for the rain coming. 30% chance on Tuesday. By Veterans Day, 50% chance for thunderstorms, 76 for the high.
All right, we continue to follow breaking news downtown. An officer-involved shooting has shut down Forsyth at Trinity. We've got a crew on the scene. We'll update you at 11alive.com.
And look for more of our coverage of the 2020 election online at 11alive.com as well. And that's where you'll find real-time results. Those votes coming in every half hour or so.
We will also be bringing you the latest developments on air when we get them as well.
Take care, everyone.